Good morning, everyone. I'm in the White Hart Hotel, broadcasting to you from the front bar, and I am going to have a conversation with Liz Ellis as my guest. Liz, I know we are going to be talking about the controversial human nature programmer, but let's actually start at the beginning. Were you born in Lewes? Did you
No, so I wasn't born in Lewes. I was actually born in Cookfield. Lived in Sussex all my life, so I like to think of myself as a Sussex girl. Moved to Lewes about 19 years ago after I'd met my husband, and have been here ever since. Worked in pharmacy for 15 years and then decided let's run a pub. So me and my husband have got the Elephant and Castle.
Yeah. So where I'm to be found very often.
Well, that's how we know you, Stewart.
Yes. Yeah, it's very nice. So where do we go from that? Now I know when I come to the pub that you've been heavily involved in this very controversial human nature project, and you have come out heavily, along with other people, that it shouldn't be allowed to go ahead. And apparently, we are now over 54,000.
57,500
who have protested against it. Now, I thought, what is this? I said, I must see if there's any opposition. So on Monday night, I was helping Lib Dems filling some elements for the rest of it, and I asked them, Lib Dem guys.
Yeah.
I said, but there's been 54,000. They said, oh, a lot of people are in favour of it. I said, really? What's a lot of people? Well, a lot of people. I said, well, how many people? And so forth and so on. And he said, well, I don't believe you. He said, all right, fine, right. So then I asked one of the senior guys, he said, what do you think about this project? He said, I think it's just a basically green folly.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
To a degree. So I've only really it's really come up on my radar in the last sort of few weeks, simply because we've got customers and friends who are going to be heavily affected by it, which has made me look more into it to see more of the things that are going on with it that I feel are wrong. I think the North Street Quarter, the Phoenix Industrial Estate, the Phoenix, whichever they choose to call it, I think most people will agree that something's got to be done, because through years of poor planning applications, etc., the site in places has become derelict. So something's got to be done with it. But I don't believe that the human nature project is necessarily, in certain aspects, the right way to go forwards.
Now, let's look at this. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. Looking at their sort of PR, the pre-planning document, a lot of it doesn't make any sense to me. Provide 700 houses and the various sort of categories, 37 for 2-bedroom homes, aimed at young people, who are these houses going to be for? Are they going to be for second homers, or are they going to be for DFLs? And are they going to be for local people? So they don't tell us. Okay, and then they go on to all kinds of other sort of lunacies. They talk about, we will go about affordable housing. So you've got to ask the question. Well, exactly. Affordable for who?
Yes.
They haven't even actually dotted on that.
So what I found out about the affordable housing side of it was that there is, the affordable housing has been taken on the average Lewes district annual salary,
which is 26,000.
Yeah. Which actually, that sounds fine. But if you work full time on minimum wage, the maximum you will earn is 21,500.
Right.
So even with the caps that they're putting in, with the 30% off, capping it at 250,000 for the affordable housing, anyone who's on minimum wage, works 40 hours a week, the maximum that they would ever get a mortgage for with full deposit of 8,500 is around about 170,000. So So therefore, for your average person who works full-time on minimum wage, they're not going to be able to afford these properties, because once they've purchased the property, there are also going to be things like service charges, because they're blocks of flats, because human nature are going to be owning the management company that are going to be looking after things like the gardens, the property maintenance, etc. There are going to be service charges, which are likely to be in the regions of £1,500 a year.
Yeah. So that's not a good idea, is it? I mean,
No.
And also, this thing about what's up my street, which is renewable energy, as you know, they said that these living in the Phoenix will enjoy lower utility bills due to energy efficient homes and the data-led renewable energy grid, saving around 10 to 20% on utility fees, with heating bills up to £80 lower. This is absolute lunacy. What are they talking about? First of all, what is a renewable energy grid? What is it? Have you heard of it?
I haven't, and I have to say I'm not that good on the renewable energy things, but I do think that sort of advertising something in a very nicely produced, glossy piece of paper that says, but your heating bills are going to be 80% of what
Madness.
Of what they are.
Madness.
But what is the heating bill anyway?
Well,
so you can't say it's going to be 80% less, because you don't actually have a starting figure, because the properties haven't been built.
Look, they're going to enjoy utility bills, forms those. They've actually got to reduce the bills. There's no way they can reduce that bills to that extent. It's just madness. It's bonkers.
Yeah.
And then finally, affording housing, and the Greens sort of having a sort of fantasy of a utopian green village, you think?
That's from, and again, they've produced some very lovely pictures that look incredibly nice, which in my opinion don't actually hold any substance for what it actually is going to be and what it's going to look like. And it sounds like having a no traffic zone, I think, is actually not a bad idea, because we do need to do things for the environment. However, accepting that 700 properties are going to be able to have just 313 car parking spaces, it's unrealistic. Because at the end of the day, I do believe that the car is here. We do have to do something about it, but it sounds like they're trying to build a village within the town of Lewes, and an awful lot of what they're saying in the brochure on any of their paperwork, it sounds like the people of Lewes already don't do enough for the environment, that we don't have a community, that we don't care about each other and what's going on in our town. And this new village that they want to build is going to be so much better than the people of Lewes already are. And we're actually an incredibly good group of people who do look after each other, who do think about the environment. And it feels very much as if they're saying that the people who are already here in Lewes aren't doing enough and aren't good enough, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's absolutely crazy. The town of Lewes is one of the greenest towns you're going to find around. And I know about these things, and I'm involved in these things, aren't I? I write about these things. And it just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, it doesn't, what they're trying to say, yes, we're coming in here and we'll show you how it's done. Well, it's crazy.
So they're part of their plans is to have the housing, which is one separate issue. And then they're also going to basically build a village. So they're going to have entertainment venues, retail venues, cafes, sports sort of community areas. So they're looking at putting in a climbing place. I know that there's already the skate park down at the Phoenix Quarter. So they're looking at doing these things, which when you actually kind of step back and take another look, if they're encouraging it to be attractive to people who don't drive, then people will have to use public transport. And there's a degree of that's absolutely fine if the public transport system is up and running and works very well. But if you live there and you have a 7-year-old boy, there is nowhere in Lewes to go and buy them a pair of underpants. So you are going to have to, as a family who's moved here, you're going to have to leave Lewes to actually purchase anything like that, as just a pure example. We've already got retail units sat along the high street that are empty. We've, in the last 3 weeks,
we've had a lot of the death of the whole high street. Well, this is a very, very nationwide, of course. It is due in part to change in purchasing habits.
Absolutely.
People do things online now rather than go down to the WhatsApp.
Yeah.
But there is also the business tax, which has actually killed. You go up these streets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's awful. I mean, that's a really stupid conservative thing, just to tax people out of it. You know, one lovely place down the road was put out of business, and it's now a pizza house, and you know, it's just bonkers.
So I think the whole logistics of living in what we feel is a utopian style development, that development isn't actually going to exist for at least 10 years. So they've said that it could take up to 10 years to build it. Well, of course, they're going to build the houses first, because the houses are the bits that make the money to then be able to build the rest of it.
Yeah, then we come to the crux, right? What are they going to do for money, right? Now, Derek, you know, Derek, you work with him, I know.
Yeah.
He said that this Human Nature people have a project up in Doncaster where they somehow raised 42 million quid. And I said, well, how? I've got friends who goes to company house, and I said, can you actually find out how much money they've got? And they said it's very, very, on one aspect, it looks like they've got no money at all. And it's quite weird. But the thing is, you see, there are certain things you can tax, but there are lots of green subsidies available for certain things. If they say, oh, we're going to have solar houses, they can get a grant.
Yeah.
That are today. And if we say, you know, if they can all have a windmill, they can make more of our money, more of the taxpayers' money. You know, I think there's something very wrong somehow. I think that they they can't afford it.
I can't see. So phase one that they talk about is dealing with the flood issues that happened down.
Well, that brought the previous developer out of business, didn't it?
Yes.
The one, yeah.
So the flood issues are going to be dealt with in phase one, and then they're going to start building. So you're actually already outputting an awful lot of money before you've actually made any money. And as I say, so they're then going to have to build the properties, the residential properties, before they can do the commercial side of it, which means that the people who have purchased into the beautifully produced leaflets that they've got are actually going to be living in an environment that is not what they've been sold and what's not been advertised for an 8 to 10 year period, because of the time period it's going to take to finish building, to finish landscaping. So the 57,500 people was actually the petition to stop the cutting down of the trees between Greenwall and the Causeway, so that they could create an access ramp for the works vehicles. So bear in mind that end of it is going to be the last bit that's built, because that's the last end of it. Those trees wholesale are not going to be replaced for 10 years. They've then got to grow. You know, that's why I think that particular petition has gone so far that there is no need to do it when there are other ways around it. I mean, well, the difference is look, old trees are taking lots and loads of carbon. Yeah. New trees don't. Yeah. Because they're saplings and so forth, and they just don't do it, and they don't exit oxygen either. Well, apart from anything else, trees shouldn't be knocked down for no good reason. And human nature's own survey has proven that there's bats there. Bats are a protected species
as well.
as well. The trees have got a tree protection order on them, and there's bats there, and they still appear, because obviously the planning application has been extended, any comments till the 26th of May. So that's bits, but you just kind of go, well, that bit can't happen. So I think there needs to be a rethink. Something's got to be done there. Yes, Lewis needs more homes.
Does it?
Well, apparently.
No. Well,
Apparently.
Hang on. I understand from the Lib Dems that the waiting list for homes is 1,000. Now, but a lot of those people on the waiting list are just trying to trade up.
Right.
But if it is 1,000, that is not a right figure, is it? I mean, is there more people? How many people are there on the street? 8. I can always count 8. So they're homeless. And apparently 4 of those have got places in Lamport. So
yes.
Yeah. So well, all these estates are being built all over the place, not for the possible occupants, but the developers.
Yes.
They're clearing up. There's that one in Bovis, right up in, is it Ringmer or right?
Yes.
Ringmer.
Ringmer.
Yeah. And they're building all these flats and things. And look what happens when you actually get rid of the bus stop, or get rid of the bus stop, because you're going to have new homes and new shops. Right. What happened when the Premier Inn was like that? Empty shops.
Yes.
Do we need more shops, for
Yes.
example? And also, they're going to build houses and shops on the previous business stuff. And I don't think they're going to actually sell them.
At the moment, we
so
can't
on.
fill the empty commercial premises within the town
Exactly.
as it is.
Yeah.
So building more isn't actually going to encourage more business.
Yeah.
All it means, in my opinion, is more empty properties.
Yeah.
But it's the whole infrastructure. You've got 700 homes. Where are those people going to go if they have children? Some of them.
Yeah.
Where are they going to go to school?
Yeah.
Sort of there's all of those infrastructures. At nowhere in any of the plans that I've had a look at is there what I would call a play area. There's lots of these sort of watery, damp, green areas in between the buildings, but there isn't somewhere for children to go and kick a ball. Now, I appreciate that Morling Fields is just across the road, across the river, but there doesn't seem to be any extra amenity infrastructures put in. So the health hub that they want to build, which is part of Foundry Healthcare, are going to go into it.
Are they?
They're not actually. It's not going to be. No one can get a doctor's appointment as it is. You struggle. So therefore, it's great to build this wonderful new health hub, which is going to be up to spec, and all the doctors will be there, and all the amenities. And if you need to see a dermatologist specialist, then you can see them. That's great. But there aren't enough doctors at the moment. So where are they going to get the doctors from to man the health hub?
Yeah, right.
And that's been in planning the health hub has been in planning for over 8 years.
Oh yes, to put it all together.
To put Foundry Healthcare all together from the individual doctor surgeries and to get this health hub going.
Well, the thing is always there. It's economy of scale. Once you get it all in one sort of thing of it doesn't cost so much, because you've got to do this, that for that surgery, and this, that, and it ends up being very costly. Yes.
But they haven't considered parking for any of this either, in my opinion. So there are car parks down on the North Phoenix Quarter that are currently being used by people that live and work in the town. When they start the development, those car parking spaces will go. So where will the people that already live and work in the town and use that car parking, where are they going to park? Because these aren't people who have moved into the properties, who don't have cars, etc. This is while the works are going. And where are people going to park when they come in to do the work down there? Yeah. Where are the builders going to park? There is already a massive lack of parking. And cars do exist. But just by saying you're not going to have any car parks, so you can't have car, that doesn't actually encourage people to be more environmentally friendly with their travels, etc. It just says, well, if you want a car, don't come here. Or that's how it can feel. There's so many different aspects of it that I think could be looked at. So outside Spring Gardens, between Spring Gardens and Brooks Road.
Yeah.
That's where they currently have Coaches Park.
That's
Coaches that come into the town that bring revenue because they bring people into the town. There's businesses and there's residential down there as well. So there's 7 residential properties that are going to be massively impacted by this for the benefit of 700 people. But those people already live here. Do we need to build the health hub right in front of these properties, which is going to be a 4-story building? It's going to take away natural light, etc. Why can't that be moved to somewhere which is less intrusive for people that are already part of the community and already live here? So I think some of their things could be moved, but I'm going to be honest, I can't see how they're ever going to actually get it off the ground and get it going.
It's all loudmouth here. I'm just in control of the picture, but as I've been listening with some interest. And first of all, Liz, let me say to you, well done for coming out and starting to talk publicly and starting a public debate, because not enough people are willing to either shut up. We've had 3 people here who shout in private, and the moment we say come on television, they the rabbit hole isn't big enough to get them as they rush towards it. Now, I'm going to be very controversial with the 2 of you, because I know I respect both of you with your views. I think that the whole issue of local governance is based on an incorrect assumption. First of all, we're told by the local council everything is going online, right? We're told by the banks as well. We're told, yeah. So when you want to find anything out, you go online, right? Sorry, half a dozen rainforests have just been cut down so that the political parties can shove paper after paper after paper. Do it online. What? Do it online? We wouldn't get to the people. But why are they doing it in governance? That's number one. And that really upsets me that they can be that silly. Number 2, we try hard. We say that we are local but not parochial. We try very hard to what we say here and put it into context for the rest of the world. So what we do is two times a week, we have 2 correspondents from New York who come on, and we ask them what's going on there. A week or 2 ago, I asked one of them, I said, are the banks in the United States pulling out of small towns? Certainly not, she said. No, on the contrary, they're very healthy. How about ATMs? Are they shutting the ATMs down? Certainly not, she said. No, they're well used. And I said, what about cash? And she said, the young people are coming back to cash.
Yes.
Right? What is it? Everything that we do here is based on we've got to go online. Mm-hmm. And I don't believe, I mean, surveys are notoriously inaccurate anyway. I don't believe people are asking the right questions so that they can make the right decisions. Now, you can look at me and you can say, Keith, it's typical you. You know, you're totally bloody mad and you're always.
Well, I agree. I agree with you. I mean, look, all the banks, apart from Lloyd's now, have been shut down. Now, this is, in my occasion, my sense, a disaster.
Yeah.
Because you're doing it remotely. I go in there because I've got an ISA with Lloyd's, and that needs talking about. Yeah. And I wanted to do something about credit cards and so forth and so on. You can't do that online. You simply can't. Right. You need to get a bank manager for the old style.
Absolutely. And as a business owner, do you know what? Sometimes you have to go to the bank because you need change because cash is still legal tender. And I don't think there are many places in the town that don't take cash. Yeah. I do believe there's a couple, but I'm not 100% sure. So you still have your day-to-day business banking to do. Absolutely. And the post office are doing an incredible job, but they don't hold the cash volumes for that when, for example, it's bonfire in Lewis and all the pubs and the restaurants need to have a volume of change. The post office isn't able to actually hold up to that. And someone who is wanting to post a letter is now having to stand for 10 minutes behind a business owner who would have gone to the bank.
It's crazy. There are 1.5 people down at that post office down there.
And they all seem to be going at lunch at the same time.
Yeah. The other day, Barclays posted their, their reason for closing down their branches in smaller towns. But basically, What they really said was everybody is now going online. But why are we going online? Because they have closed their branches. What they're doing is they're twisting the whole argument to say, oh, you do this. Well, in fact, we would much prefer to do to some extent the other way.
It's all about venality. Look, they want to actually close the bank so they haven't got to pay a wage bill.
And also pay their business rates, pay the rates that they're on the buildings.
And this is the whole thing about remoteness, isn't it? You can't get the service you want, basically. You've got to get in front of people.
Absolutely.
So I now go
What
to.
do they do with the 30% that they charge on a credit card?
My solution to this is I've got a pair of handcuffs which I take down to lawyers and say, if you don't come with me now, I shall handcuff you to that pole house.
No, I think that the retail banking sector is an absolute disgrace. But and I don't mean to pull you away from the discussion of the North Street Quarter, but what I'm saying to you is, are all the arguments for what they're doing based on a false premise? Because we accept the fact that everything is done online now.
So
is it? Nobody asked that question.
So I'm just going to pull it back to something that I've been speaking to with other people about the North Street Quarter and the internet. As there aren't the retail units in the town that are filled with the products that people need on a day-to-day basis, 100% sort of clothing, that sort of thing, people are buying more online because that's what we're told. Look at the internet, you can buy on the internet, it will be delivered to your door. That's wonderful. Yeah. So they want to create this utopian area, which is a low traffic zone that, to be honest, people aren't going to be able to carry their weekly shopping to their flats. They're not going to be able to go anywhere in the town to purchase anything because the retail units aren't filled. So there's going to be a vast amount of deliveries down there because everything, as you say, is now based on the internet. We're told, as you say, go on the internet, order it online. But actually, I think most people want to touch a product, look at a product, see what that product looks like and feels like. But because the shops aren't physically there, people are just going to buy online anyway, which then means that you get an awful lot of waste because you've got your cardboard waste from packaging, but you also get product waste. The amount of clothing that is ordered online that people get, and it's only cost them 20 quid or whatever, and they go, oh, it doesn't quite fit right, or it's not quite the right material. It never gets sent back, and the next thing you know, that piece of clothing has now become a bag. Because it's not used. So you're not actually, so you've got another environmental issue there that actually the waste of product, which is never used, is huge.
Yeah, but there is the charity shops.
Oh, there are the charity shops, but I'm just using
the
that
charity
as
shops, of which my wife is the queen in this town. Oh, no, not her again. And I told you about it, She sort of said, oh, look, I've got this Armani shirt for you. It's £40. I got it for £5.
And then
I said, darling, I don't want another shirt. I've already got about 50.
But
the charity shops are really good recycling centres.
Yes. But can I ask you this? We order stuff online. How is it delivered? Right now, I stand at the bus at 7 o'clock in the morning. I stand at a steady stream of vehicles delivering.
Yes.
Right? Green. Now, Stuart, this is your bag because what the Greens would say is, well, we're going to have electric cars and so on and so forth. You've got a very laughable situation there, haven't you? What about these electric vehicles?
What about them?
Well, how are they going to be fueled?
Very good point. Well, I told you. I've told you.
Yeah, tell them.
Right.
Tell the people.
Well, you know about this. I mean, in 2019, I went to a sustainability meeting led by the Greens, of all people, and they said, we are going to have zero carbon emissions by 2030. I said, oh, really? How are you going to do that? They said, oh, we're going to have electric charging points and like some trees. This is 2019. For the last 4 years, we've only had 8 public charging points. And then the Liberal Democrats, a couple of weeks ago, said we got 64 charging points. Great chunk of those are going to go to New Haven and Seaford. and be back where you are.
But
And,
what I'd like to point out is of those 8 charging points that there are in Lewis, it all depends on when the charging points were put in and how old your electric vehicle is. Because we've actually got an electric hybrid. So it charges as it goes, but you can plug it in to charge it. 4 of the points in Lewis do not have the right connecting charger that actually connects to our vehicle. So we actually can't use half of them anyway.
And as I read the contract was just put out for installing these electric points, it's a 15-year plan.
Which,
I mean,
you've got to look. There were very, very tricky issues with because electric cars need lithium, and lithium is very costly. Okay, and in fact, just to digress for a second, I've actually found, Cornwall is not got no industry at all now. They used to live on mining. I discovered that they've got a lithium mine down there, and they are actually, we wrote about that. It's called Cornish Lithium, and that's actually restoring the things about lithium. First of all, it doesn't have the density. It doesn't have the density to get you a very, very long way. Secondly, it's becoming rarer and rarer, and therefore far, far more expensive. You've got the big hub in Chile, which is costing a fortune to do. So I prefer hydrogen cars myself because I've actually driven one. But I mean, did I ever tell you my hydrogen story?
No.
All right, quickly. Right, we got a home up in Shetland, as you know, and the guy there has 2 little turbines, and he puts things, uses the wind to actually, through an electrolyzer, take on the fuel cell, which actually they go by hydrogen, right? And the thing is, the hydrogen car needs a container double the size of the car even to get going. So anyway, when I had a guy, he's got a hydrogen car up there, and he says, "Would you like to drive it?" I said, "I'd love to do that." And I said, "Well, how far will it get me?" So they get you down to Lerwick. He says, "Alex, Lerwick's the capital. It's about 50 miles away." I said, "How am I going to get back?" He says, "That's the problem." First of all, there are no hydrogen cars. It's chicken egg. There are no hydrogen cars because there's no filling stations.
Yes.
Secondly, there's no filling station because there's no hydrogen
cars. Yes.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, I think that this debate is got to go on and on and on. Never mind, we've got an election coming up in 2 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time, and it's too late, really, for much to be done about that. But I think that we've got to start to ask the questions of our governments, our local thing, is why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Instead of being told this is green policy or this is Lib Dem policy. I don't give a fig about their policies. What I want to hear is what are they doing in terms of joined up thinking for us? Yeah.
And I think
that's who they're representing.
Slow.
I also think that there's things like that, as I say, you can object or agree with the planning application for the Phoenix Quarter. Right. And as I say, it's been extended till the 26th of May. But if you agree with it, all you have to do is click a button that says, I agree. If you object, you actually have to put a reasoning behind your objection. So it's much easier to go, yeah, that's all right, we'll have that, than it is to actually turn around and say, no. So if people do want to, it does take a time, but pick one thing. If you don't want to go into sort of like the whole plethora of issues that there are, pick one thing that you're passionate about disagreeing with the planning application. By saying, I disagree on the parking issues, I disagree on the cutting down of the trees, I disagree on the density of the residential properties, on the materials that they're choosing to use. Pick that one thing and do that, because that might just be easier, but then that will give more of a site for the planning application people to look at.
You know, Stewart says, "Calm down, Keith. That's my style." So
I know.
Go, right now, there is a marvelous film called Brewster's Millions. Have you seen it?
I have.
Yes. And he tries to spend money on a political campaign, and he looks at all the people that are running, and what his slogan is, none of the above.
Yes.
And I think that that's absolutely appropriate to Lewis. None of the above. Let's get people in there. I mean, I don't want to name them because I think it would embarrass them. We had two marvelous independents. I mean, they worked their cotton socks off, and they really did an awful lot. They were neutered by the political parties, which vote like this. Ever since Tony Blair introduced the cabinet system, which is iniquitous. But they're all going to change it until they actually get into power, and then they realise, right, okay. But the fact of the matter is, I would like to see more independents who are reacting to him and to you and to me and to the people in the street, not these political philosophies, which what they do is they try to squeeze them in to say, oh, this is what is needed. I don't see that. I don't see anybody asking what's needed.
So wouldn't it be lovely if when you actually met someone who was a political party, who was knocking on the doors, who are campaigning at the moment for the elections, who actually knocked on the door and said, these are our policies, but what would you like to see done? So I think another thing that people would love to see done in Lewis is, please, can we sort out some of the potholes? I personally know 3 people that have damaged their vehicles in the last 10 days in potholes that have been reported to the council, etc., etc. So actually come knock on my door, come talk to me and say, right, these are what our national policies are. And this is the way that our party chooses to work. These are our policies. This is the way we want to do things. But also we are aware that in this town where you live, where we will be representing you if you vote for us, we will deal with the issues of making sure the potholes are dealt with, making sure that the streets are being
my
cleaned.
wife actually fell outside of Waitrose, when we had all that thing about that. Fact of the matter is, roads and pavements are county councils, not the local things, which is just
does it matter? The fact is that we need people who care about those things. I mean, it's the same as policing. I got this thing through from Katie Bourne saying in her watch, the number of police had not gone down, they'd gone up. Well, where the hell are they? We actually here see an awful lot of policemen because they're going in and out of the courts.
Yes.
We don't see them down the road on the beat.
No.
And because we're in the game that we are, we see bits and pieces coming in, is that the amount of on-street crime is increasing, right? The number of police that are on the streets are decreasing. Is there a correlation? I'd like an explanation.
Yes.
There we are. We've got it sorted. Vote for us.
Well, you might want to have PR, huh?
Well, this is good debate, and to be quite honest with you, Liz, we're very grateful for you coming in, because there needs to be more of this debate. And I'm very fond of quoting the Harvard University survey, which was done a few years ago now. But basically, they did it in America, and then they brought it over here because the results were startling. What it showed was, with the shrinkage of local media, and actually, dear old Mick Symes does a great job on social media and so on and so forth, but it's all about finding lost dogs and cats and so on and so forth. There is not really the sort of media that we had 10 or 15 years ago. Dear old John, remind me of his last name.
Eccles.
John Eccles. And John was everywhere, right? He's a pain in the ass, but he was everywhere.
Yeah, mostly in the pub.
But he knew what was going on, and he was able to. And now the BBC from Brighton occasionally sends somebody, right? The newspaper isn't here anymore.
No.
Right? We really are the only people here.
But that is
hang on a minute. Just let this Harvard Reviews found. With the shrinkage of media, is what happened was local councils, local governments got worse, and the costs got higher. Does that sound like Lewis? We have the 3rd or 4th largest increase in council tax in the country.
Yeah.
Right. And what have we got for it? We haven't got anybody left. They're all in Eastbourne.
Yes.
And that needs to be talked about on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And okay, I'm a pain in the ass about it. But somebody's got to be a pain in the ass, because otherwise these things will carry on regardless. Right, now you were going to have a go at me. Go on.
Yeah, you're really aggravating my PTSD. Right. I came back. I've only reached, people said it recently, all the bang bangs in Vietnam and Cambodia and so forth. I am very, very noisy averse. Very noisy averse.
And you live in Lewis?
Yeah, quite.
And you work with Keith?
Yeah. I've got you shouting in my ear. No, it's not true. I don't know PDHD, but I am noise averse, I must say.
Never mind. When I taught you how to operate this, you can sit here on your own. But anyway, that is the raison d'etre behind our television operation. Is somebody has got to be. I mean, a lot of what we say is illogical. A lot of what I say is emotional.
And do you know what? If someone that actually, I'm sure that if someone who was for the whole Phoenix Water, 100% on every aspect of it, wanted to come in and talk to you, you would talk to them as well.
We talk to anybody.
Because it's about making sure that you've got lots of different viewpoints. Because
absolutely,
when I've spoken to people and someone said something, I've gone, oh, sometimes I may be, oh, that's a no. And then you kind of see, you can see it from a different viewpoint. You may still disagree, but actually lots of different opinions is incredibly useful.
We own, Stewart and I own this television station, so we don't have any great big powerful financial interests or political interests telling us what to do.
Yes.
And we have a simple thing is, you cannot come on here and libel somebody, because that's against the law.
Absolutely.
You cannot come on here and be obscene.
No.
Because that's not nice.
No.
Other than that, you can come on and say what you like and express your viewpoint. And in fact, we break into programs. I mean, we're here in the White Hart, so that if somebody walks in through the front door, we say, hey, come and sit down and tell us.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
above all, you must not break people's eardrums.
Sorry.
You want to respect, you see, as that lady at Lynn, the lady here, calls me Sir Michael. Yeah, she said, because you've got such a lovely voice. And I have what's known as a modular television voice. But when you hear some of these people, going on, I call it staccato chipmunk.
Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't told him yet. I've got in a slot with Piers Morgan.
Lovely.
You're going to have a spot with Piers Morgan. You're having a photo. Well, no, don't tell anybody. Don't tell people. It'll reduce their credit rating. Piers Morgan. You're going to interview him?
No, not yet.
No.
We are not loud enough for him.
Oh, I don't know. But so for example, where you do talk about these sorts of local things, etc., where are the local candidates? Where is our local MP? What are their viewpoints on this?
Exactly.
Where are the planning
people?
Our
working MP at the moment, Maria Corfield, he is totally incompetent. Utterly, she shouldn't have got the job. Actually, James McCleary is working left, right, and centre, because there's a very good chance that he will become the next MP for Lewis. Now, the town is very, 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 they've all had a problem. The town is totally green and totally, climate change, etc., etc. It's the villages outside and Seaford, which got all these, these backwoods, conservative backwoodsmen. But there was another thing, Bob, that they're changing the boundaries before 1924.
Yes,
so we're going to have managers that go into Kent, and they're not going to vote for.
Well, it's. I mean, to be quite honest with you, I don't think that much has changed, Stuart. Country people have always been conservative by nature.
Yeah, quiet. Yeah.
Town people have always either been liberal or left, and that's exactly the situation here.
Yeah.
This town is essentially liberal left. The people in the farms and the villages are essentially conservative right, and it just depends on
But,
where the balance of
yeah, well, a lot of people in Seaford are dying off, and also in the farms.
no, it'll change.
So
I'm not saying it won't change. I mean, that's essentially is. I mean, I don't sit here and condemn anybody. I mean, actually, it gets up my left nostril a bit with some of these people. So those awful Tories. Well, I can remember Labour of the 1970s, who were responsible for body bags in the streets.
Well, thankfully, I don't remember that far back.
Of course you don't, darling.
No, that was when Canahan was in 78.
Yeah.
He went off to the holiday in Barbados, didn't he? While the bloody people for the streets were full of footballers.
Well, I mean, actually, like serious about it. Is Britain was on its last legs and it applied for an IMF, an International Monetary Fund loan.
Dennis Healy got that.
And well, he didn't get it. Dennis Healy made an application, and he got to Heathrow, and his office called him and said, "Come back. They've told we won't talk to you until you actually start to revise a bit." So you know, that's what I say. I am not into party politics. I'm into people who are competent and look after their constituents. That's what we put them there for. That's what they should be doing.
Absolutely.
Well, I started voting the Liberal because I didn't vote very much because I've been abroad so much. But I would vote for the Liberals because I have liberal views. You know, I'm not left wing because it's all out of date. You know, you had that with Corbyn and McDonnell. You know, they were going into a sort of communist sort of economy, which was about 60 years out of date. Incredible. I mean, you know, Liberals have a liberal values, equality of opportunity, freedom of speech, and all that kind of thing. And I think, although I realise they're not going to get into power, it's just, I've never voted Conservative. I couldn't.
Yeah. Well, I was a classics scholar. No, I took classics. I wasn't a scholar. My degree should have been in beer drinking. But it is one of the great generals of the Roman times who helped defeat Hannibal was a guy called Fabius, and it's Fabian tactics. And what he did was he hid in the hills and kept on coming out and attacking the sail. We employ Fabian tactics. We can't change it. You're quite right. They'll get into power, but we can keep snipping in their heels in the hope that what we'll do is get some conscience going. And that some of the things which are important, and I agree with you, Liz, some of the things you raised this morning are important to this town and this community, will be looked at, which they are not at the moment.
Absolutely.
Are we done?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yes.
I've got to go back and do some work.
Is actually he's a naughty boy because I am on the straight and narrow. But once we've finished, he says, "Come on, let's go into the next thing." So
come off it, Cocker. You're in there.
I think that sounds like a great plan.
That's why he doesn't like me sitting next to him. You see, he's conscious.
What conscience? I've got nothing to be conscious of.
Right. Thank you very much for being with us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Liz, for coming in. What we like is good spirited debate. And you know, it may well be that the next person here will come in and shoot down half of what we said, but it doesn't matter because what we've got to do is to let our thoughts and our ideas go.
Yeah. Wendy Maples or James Herbert will probably do it. But then I digress into the whole thing about my suspicions about the Greens. But he was quite good when we had him last time, wasn't he?
Yeah.
When he did the bus tour.
Yeah. No.
Wendy Maples is very, very good.
Yeah.
Very,
I mean,
very
it is up to them. There is a standing invitation to all levels of government to come on here. And they don't like what we say, so they don't come on. But that's their...
Absolutely.
If they don't express their viewpoint, they can't complain if people don't understand what it is that they're saying.
Yes.
Oh, Tony Parker said he'd like to come on.
Good.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's welcome, as you know.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Then I think actually all of us are going to a pub for one reason or another.
Yes.
You speak for yourself.
Now let's give a plug to the business.
Oh, well, yeah. So Elephant Castle. Everyone's welcome. Pool table, Toad, Starts, home of the famous Ellie Burger. Pop down.
What about beer?
Oh, we do have. We always have beer. So we've always got beer. Cask ale lagers. Yeah.
Liz, I've known you for a long time. It's
We
good
have
to-
known each other a long
we have,
time.
yeah, it's good to see you, and I'm delighted you've been here this morning. I thank you to Stewart for inviting you. But we've covered a lot of ground. We've given a lot of opinions, and none of those opinions are absolute. Anybody who wants to challenge them is welcome to come on. But if you do it from your armchair at home, nobody hears. Do it on Mirador, because one of the things that we've been here for a year, and it's been a struggle, but our audience is increasing all the time, and we're starting to be a voice that matters. So the invitation stands.
Yeah, well done, Keith and Stuart.
Toodle pip.
Yep. Okay. Bye.
Thank you.